Now, how do you solve equations with fractions? It's the same way that we solved equations with integers, same way that we solved with decimals. Okay? Same that we solved with decimals. Please stop making that noise. Thank you. Addition equations with fractions. Whenever there's addition there, you have to use the inverse operation to subtract. Now, you've heard me say inverse operation as well as the opposite, right? Inverse means opposite. So you have to do the opposite of addition. So the inverse of addition is subtraction. And the same direction is subtraction equations with fractions. Use the inverse operation. Add. That's nothing new. Now we're just doing it with fractions. Okay, we've done decimals, we've done integers, now we're doing fractions. So I'm going to zoom in here, Bitsky. So I have k plus 1 1/3 equals 4 1/6. What is happening to an explosion of a binder? What is happening to the variable here? Cole? What's happening to the variable? Okay, yes, you're actually ahead of me. But before that, what's happening to the variable? When you look at that equation right there, what's happening to it? No, I'm just... Who haven't I heard from much? Joey. 1 1/3 is being added to the variable, so what do I need to do, Cole? I need to subtract 1 1/3 from both sides. Subtraction rule of equality, property of equality. If I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. So now on this side, I have k all by itself, because as we know, variables do not like others. They just want to chill by themselves. Okay? They are very asocial. They just want to chill by themselves. So now I have 4 1/6 minus 1 1/3. 4 1/6 minus 1 1/3. Since it's subtraction, you realize you have a hoodie around your neck, right? Okay. Students shivering. Now I have to make them improper fractions. And I don't mean improper like burping at the table. I mean where the numerator is bigger than the denominator. Okay? So I'm going to rewrite this. K is still over here. So I have 6 times 4, which is 24, plus 1. We have 25 sixths minus 4 thirds. The next step that I have to do is I have to find out what is a common denominator, so the least common denominator. And also what I can do is I can do this too. So it's going to be what? 6. It's going to be 6. This guy stays the same, 25 over 6, plus, in order to get to 6, what I'm going to have to do is I have to multiply this guy by 2, which means I have to multiply that guy by 2 to keep an equivalent fraction. Negative 8, that's 6. Now I have 25 plus negative 8, or just 25, yes?
Do we have to have the inverse for it, or? Like
No, I just did that just to remind you that I could have done it like that. When you start getting into negative integers, that's when it gets a little tricky. So now I have 25 minus 8, which is just going to be 17 sixths. But I'm not done. But wait, there's more. I must simplify. K equals 2 and 5 sixths. 2 and 5 sixths, and that's the final answer. Stop. This seating arrangement works so much better for so many reasons, except for the fact that boys have so many people within their reach. I mean, I just wish that we could generate electricity from how often people are hitting each other in middle school. I mean, we could sell it to the whole city. Now we have one that's a little bit different. This one here we have what's happening to the variable 10 and 3/5 is being taken away from A. Okay? Being taken away from A. So that means we need to add 10 and 3/5. Plus 10 and 3/5. I'm going to rewrite this. A is all by itself now, so it's happy. 10 and 3/5 plus 5/6. Now I'm going to do this one a little bit different. I'm going to pull the whole numbers out because I'm adding. Okay, because I'm adding, it makes it so much easier to pull the integer out of it. So I have 10 plus 3/5 plus 5/6. Plus 5/6. What is the LCD of those two fractions? What is the LCD of those two fractions, Mr. Webb? 30? Exactly. Now you're thinking to yourself, okay, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, none of those, so it has to be 30. Ideally, we would have it be smaller than that, than having the two numbers multiplied together, but it just so happens to be like that. 10 plus. In order to get to 30, I have to multiply this by 5, multiply this by 5, multiply this by 6, multiply this by 6. So now I have 18 over 30 plus 25 over 30. Now I have common denominators so I can get started. So I can get started with this. So A equals 10 plus 18 plus 25 is 35 plus 8, which is 43 30ths. Now I go again, and I could also do this over here too. So I could say 11 and 13 30ths. And I'm going to write my final answer so it's nice and neat. So I know that I'm checking myself accurately. We've had a couple situations in this class and others where people are not grading themselves accurately. That will earn you an automatic 0, by the way. So you want to make sure you are you're being honest with yourself. Okay. And it also gets fishy when people are getting a 20 out of 20 on all their homework and then they bomb the quiz without even an idea. Especially with decimals when it's so simple just do it on a calculator. All right. Next one. We have negative 7 1/2 plus x is equal to 5 1/4. Now the question I ask for you is this. If I were just looking at this, if I were just looking at that, and I asked anybody in this classroom, can you tell me what the opposite of negative 7 1/2 is? What would you tell Brad? I haven't heard you did. Oh, actually, no. Jamichael, what you got? Thank you. Yes, positive 7 1/2. So you know that the opposite, or the inverse, of 7 1/2 is negative 7 1/2. And the opposite of negative 7 1/2 is positive 7 1/2. Yes, I drew it earlier. If I'm doing the opposite, or the inverse, to get rid of the stuff that's hanging out with our asocial variable, that means that I just have to do the opposite of this. So plus 7 1/2. Do you agree that the opposite of the negative 7 1/2 is positive 7 1/2?
Yes.
Good. Now I have x by itself. Yay! 5 1/4 plus 7 1/2. I have addition, so I'm just going to do this because it's much less likely that I'm going to forget it because it's addition. Yes, sir?
So on like A, B, and C, do you just do the opposite of what the first number is, and that's your subtracted by? Because I'm so confused about that.
The opposite of the first number. Are you recognizing that we've been doing? Did you notice that? Let's see here, go back to 100. Did you notice that this right here is plus 1/3? This one here is negative 10 3/5. Is that what you're recognizing right now? Yeah, that's actually what's happening.
So you just do the opposite?
You just do the opposite. This one here for A, we had plus 1/3. We take away 1/3. This one here we had negative 10 3/5. We're adding 10 3/5. This one here we had a negative 7.5. We're adding 7.5. So if that helps you look at it, yes, you are 100% correct, sir. That's exactly what we're doing. All right, now I'm back. I have x equals 12 plus, what is the LCD of a quarter and a half? Yes? 4. The least common multiple of those two is 4. So I'm going to do times 2 here and times 2 here. I have to do it times 2 because that's how I get the denominator to be 4. That was like a hiccup and a burp at the same time, but nothing happened. $12 3/4. Good. 12 3/4. Independent practice. Solve for the variable using the inverse operations. Show your work. This is combining what we did in 6th grade, what we did last month, and also what we did the last 2 Tuesdays. There are several that you're going to smith. I would like you to please smith number 2, 7, 9, and 10, because we go over those skills in other examples. And I will have the solutions to all these on my website. That's the end of the video.